Okay, so I thought I would make a video for utter noobs to the combat mission series. I've got a couple of friends who fall into that category, and I've noticed that a couple people on the forums are struggling. I'm not by any token an expert. I've only played a couple games of combat mission, the original series, CMX1, a couple battles, and I've only played certainly not as many battles as most experts on the game, but I did do a lot of reading on both Combat Mission 1 and this one, so and I'm finding that I can go through the campaign on elite difficulty with total victories more or less. So I thought that I might do this as a lengthy introduction to the game, an extended tutorial as it were, since the game's tutorial is only passable at best. So I'll start from the start, work my way all through. I'll try and break it up into chapters on YouTube so you can just skip ahead to the stuff that you like. The mission that I'm doing is the roadblock mission, which is the indicated tutorial mission. That way there's no spoilers or anything of that sort. And the one thing missing that I think was in the demo and they don't have in this one is that they don't have rhino tanks and engineers, infantry squads, which is a bit of a shame because I wanted to show blasting tactics and maneuvers, and because the interface for blasts, it can be a bit fiddly. Maybe I'll get some in the second infantry platoon, but I don't think so. So we might not see that in this video. I might make one specifically for it, or else I can just say I recommend you jump on the forums and do a search on how to do blast, because there's a couple posts out there that explain it in pretty good detail. So whenever you start a new mission, you'll be presented with this screen, and there's a couple things from a tactical point of view you need to take into account before you proceed on. So you have your two maps of France and a more zoomed in map. These are mostly for flavour, to be honest, but over the right hand side you have your objectives. Now this is probably going to be the most important bit of information you glean from the briefing screen, because it really will dictate what your overall strategy is going to be going into the game. For example, in this one, the objectives are occupy the crossroads for 500 points, occupy St. Martin Farm for 300 points, and destroy Axis forces can get me up to 200 points. So what I'm noticing there is that I get the majority of my points. Half of my points come from occupying the crossroads, and a huge chunk of points come from getting the secondary target of St. Martin Farm, 30%, and 20% comes from killing the Axis forces, which one would have to assume that if I occupy both the crossroads and the farm, I'm going to be killing a lot of Axis forces as well, so those 200 points will filter in. So obviously the thing that I'm gathering from these objectives is that I should really aim to try and capture both the crossroads and the farm. In another scenario, you might have only secondary objectives worth, say, 50 points and the primary objective worth more than 500 points. In those cases, I might decide that with my available troops I would actually avoid the secondary objectives, because they're probably going to be defended by the Axis forces and I don't want to throw away men on a low value target. So you definitely want to take note of what your exact objectives are in each scenario. Quick hint is occupy, as in this case, means that you have to end the scenario with a couple units in that green zone, and the enemy can have no units in that green zone or they'll block your occupation, so you have to really make sure that it's empty. Right, so the next information to look at is our situation, mostly flavour. 8th Infantry Regiment, land on Utah Beach, moving inland. We're only up against feeble German forces. It's the 793rd Authorised Battalion, blah blah blah. Mission, capture the crossroads while defeating any German forces encountered. The farm is a secondary objective. Okay, which is pretty much what we've gleaned from the objectives. Although the mission spells it out, it might give us a few hints, but really that's just talking about the more informative objective section up here is more important. Friendly forces though give us a bit of a look ahead of what we're going to be handling, but of course this is going to become fairly mute as soon as we go to the main screen. Reinforcements are important though. So force consists of lead elements of the 2nd Battalion, 8th Infantry Regiment, 1 tank platoon from the tank company. So forces available: 1 infantry platoon, 2 Sherman tanks, 1 machine gun team, 1 60mm mortar team. However, most importantly, reinforcements 5 minutes after the scenario starts. We're going to get 2 more tanks, another infantry platoon, another machine gun team, another mortar team. So we're going to get double up on everything. And then 10 minutes later, another tank and the company headquarters. So the company headquarters isn't anything to be excited about, but the tank is another tank, and they're pretty decent Shermans. Enemy forces, might want to read up on this, but it's usually given in a fairly vague manner, so you'd have to assume that most scenarios are designed in such a way that both sides are fairly even. Defenders will probably have less troops but a fortified position versus the attacker who has more troops. So although you might want to glean information out here, such as do they have AT assets, what sort of AT assets are we expecting, that sort of thing, but it is usually too vague to grab too much information from here. What they do say here is that they're primarily conscripts, prisoners of war, led by German officers. Expected to approach the town with infantry and light anti-tank guns. So basically they're saying that we're going to be up against few and very weak forces, obviously because it's the tutorial, so they should break fairly easily. Plan. This is, I usually like to read the plan that the scenario designer's given us, because it gives me an idea, a hint as to how to formulate my plan, which will probably be a modification of their suggested plan. Move carefully to the east, defeating any German forces you come across. Lead with the infantry, use the Shermans to destroy resistance as it appears. Crossroads are your primary objective, farm a secondary objective. German anti-tank guns are priority target and ideally should be destroyed with your mortars. Now that information is given there is pretty sound tactical advice in general. You want to lead with the infantry to flush out the enemy while your tanks play Overwatch and destroy anything with their HE and machine guns. And if there's anything that your infantry spots that threatens your tanks, you probably want to take it out with your artillery and your mortars. In other games you might have infantry rushing those sorts of positions to take out, say, the anti-tank guns, and it's certainly true that a squad of infantry would make short work of an anti-tank team, but it would be rare that the enemy would set up an anti-tank team without some anti-infantry forces to defend it. So usually rushing those sorts of units down is suicide, which is why they're better removed from afar. The tactical map is nice to give us a little overhead of what we're going to be facing, but again, once we jump into the map we'll have a better idea of this, so I don't usually spend too much time available here. The support available showing up here is nice. The support, for example, would tell us about off-board mortars and artillery. Again, that's not something we get in this scenario, and it is something I wanted to show, but we will get to see onboard artillery, which is arguably a little more complex, so we'll get to see that. And the reinforcements showing me that I'm going to get infantry and tanks at the 5 and 10 minute mark, so we should really overwhelm what forces they have. What I'm seeing here is that we've got the farm a little bit over here. Our forces are going to start up here in the manor, push forward. We're going to have fairly open territory around the farm. The infantry is going to be set up in these hedge lines on the way towards the crossroads, so that's probably going to be a tougher slog over there. And designer notes, they usually just have fluffy stuff. They might have some hints, such as here, telling us we can remove trees with Alt-T. Always good for a glance. So that's the briefing done, and we can jump into the map now. So the preparation stage, the first couple of turns are going to be probably the longest, because you really need to examine most of the briefing so you know what you're getting into. And after the briefing, the next stage is to analyse your forces. Step after that is to analyse your terrain. Fourth step is to come up with a plan, and then the fifth step, if you want to count it, is execute that plan, because you might have a setup phase where you're placing your units in preparation for the attack. Now I'm talking only about attacks in this case. Defense would be largely the same, but the setup phase I suppose would be more significant, that 5th step, because you need to set up units ready for their for the enemy's expected lines of approach. But I haven't played that many defenses either in combat mission 1 or 2, so I'll be talking mostly about attacks. So step 2 was analyse our forces, so we'll have a look at what we got here. And since I'm pitching this at complete noobs to the combat mission, we'll get to play around with some of the quirks of the interface, which is going to be loads of fun, I can guarantee you. So you have icons over the various squads, which to any person with some intelligence should be fairly obvious. You've got infantry units such as that, you've got a mortar unit there, you've got a machine gunner, you have tanks, and you have a HQ unit, a leader. First thing you might have noticed is as I click on these units, some fade out and some are still lit. The ones who are lit are part of that unit's platoon. So the way that the US Army is structured, and most armies are structured in a similar fashion, is at the very bottom you have your grunts. So if you look in the middle here, I have all my grunts hanging on to Garans, and a couple special guys hanging on to guns, or a Thompson or something like that. But generally this is your average grunt. Now each grunt is part of a team. You'll see that these are split into 3 columns. Each of those columns is a team. This first one being the I don't know actually, but you split into 3 teams anyway. You usually have an assault team, which has got your heavy guns, which will be this guy here with the bar, and probably his 2 friends for defense. An anti-tank team. Now, this particular squad I've clicked on doesn't have a bazooka, but many of them will have a bazooka. And that'll be your anti-tank team, so there'll be a bazooka and a couple other guys, maybe somebody carrying an AT grenade. You'll see AT grenade over there. And you'll have your rifle team, I suppose you'd call it, a Grognan, probably correct me on what the actual teams are called, but that'll be the bulk of your riflemen. So bottom level you have your grunt, who's a member of a team, and each team makes up a squad. So in this case a squad is made up of 3 teams. That'll change from country to country, and even type of squad to type of squad. For example, a rifleman squad is made up of 3 teams, but a machine gun squad is probably only going to be made up of 1 team. And so a squad is generally the smallest unit you can select. That's what I've got selected there as a squad. Each of those icons indicates a squad. You can split squads up into individual teams, which means the icons will then start to represent teams, but you can think of that just sort of as half squads. Each squad then in turn reports up to a platoon. So a platoon is made up of, typically in the US Army, 3 squads. So an overall platoon, so this squad here has what, 4 guys, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 guys. 12 guys in a squad. 3 squads is, I can't add up, 36 guys, and then a couple extra for your commander, your overall platoon leader and so forth. So say 40 guys in a platoon. So that's what these guys that are all lit up are. They're your platoon, and they tend to work as a unit, and you can control the individual squads, but you tend to want to keep them fairly close, and the reason for that is what they call the C2, which is the command network, and that's what this little guy is for. The first platoon HQ you can see down here in the corner, referring to the first platoon HQ, and you'll see the team thing is broken up in a different way now. It's not 3 teams, it's the 1 team like I said, and there's a commander, the main guy, who is running the whole show. Where is he? Where are you, little commander guy? Commander, that's him, guy with the binoculars. He's running that entire platoon. And so everyone needs to be able to talk to him, from your lowest grunts through the team leaders, through the squad leader, up to the platoon leader. and then he in turn will talk up to his superiors.
Okay, Sergeant.
That's called the C2 network, and it's vitally important that you try and keep everyone connected to the C2 network as much as practical. So if we grab back my original squad here, we'll see down the corner here, this tells you how this individual squad is connected to the C2 network. The eyeball means that he can see at close range his superior, and the mouth means that he can shout at and hear his superior, which you can imagine because he's just over the other side of the wall there. And the other way you can tell is you see these 3 green lights here. So this shows the chain of command leading right up to the infantry regiment. So this is 3rd squad. This is the unit I've selected. His immediate superior, reading down, goes to the 1st platoon. 1st platoon reports to Charlie Company, who reports to the infantry regiment. We don't care about those top 2, but it is important to note that all 3 green lights means that 3rd squad can talk to 1st platoon. 1st platoon can talk to Charlie Company. Charlie Company can talk to the 8th Infantry Regiment. But if any of those are cut, then the bonuses from your higher ranking units don't flow down. So he might be able to talk to 1st Platoon if they stay close, but if that commander, the guy with the binoculars, loses contact with Charlie Company for whatever reason, then that'll have a little X, and we'll no longer get the benefits of being in contact with our company HQ. And those benefits tend to add up, and they're purposefully vague, and nobody, even on the forums, is entirely sure what it affects. It tends to affect fire rate, morale, so how often your guys are going to hit the ground, how quickly they're going to break and run away, and how quickly they'll recover, all sorts of things, pretty much everything. You can just try and keep that C2 in contact if you can. There's some details in the middle here which refer to it, such as this guy's name, Cannon, that's his leader, and it sometimes has a plus or a minus on it, indicating whether he's a good or bad leader. But there's argument as to whether, even if it's a bad leader and giving you a penalty, as to whether it's better to have a bad leader or to have no leader at all. Generally, it was hinted at by Battlefront that it's probably better to have the leader even if they're a bad leader. While I'm talking about these details, this is the unit's experience. Regular's not too bad. It just makes a significant difference whether they're green, regular, conscript. Sorry, it should be going in order of conscript, green, regular, elite, or crack. Makes a huge difference to pretty much all facets, in particular morale, but also accuracy and effectiveness in general. Regular's not bad. You quite often will probably find yourself playing with green a lot of the time, so you should, especially if you're planning on leading a spearhead with a particular type of unit, you might want to check their experience level first. Rested is, that'll change depending on how tired they are, and again it has a fairly significant effect on the gameplay. Don't ignore it. Give them a chance to rest if you at all practical. And the OK is his current morale, and as he comes under fire and loses men and loses contact with his C2 network, that'll drop from OK to nervous, cautious, broken, panicking, those sorts of things. Now what I actually did want to talk about was on the C2 network is that this is a good way of getting around your men. This is what I mean by examining your forces. So I'm seeing that I have one infantry platoon here, a full platoon, nice and healthy. If I double click on it, I can highlight the whole lot. Okay, that's good. And then later on, I'll probably be jumping around. I might grab these guys and say, okay, I want to move they're part of 1st platoon. This is the 3rd squad, the 1st platoon, and I want to send the whole 1st platoon to do something so then they stay together and cohesive. So what I'll probably want to do is find their leader. So I'll click on the word 1st platoon, and it'll jump me to their 1st platoon leader, and from there I can select the whole unit and give them an order. It doesn't work that well, so what I'll probably do is grab the 1st leader, and I want to find the individual unit. So you'll look over here, and there's my units: 1st squad, 2nd squad, 3rd squad, with a brief indication of how well that squad's doing. Green boxes at the moment because everyone's A-OK, and then I can jump between 1st squad. I want to give you a command, then back to the 1st platoon. 2nd squad, where are you at? Okay, you look good, and so forth. And that way I can control a platoon even when they start to get a bit spread out and hidden in bushes and that sort of thing. So let's see what else we've got. So we've got one infantry platoon, great. We've got 2 tanks, part of the same platoon. Platooning isn't as important for tanks. You'll notice that they've got a radio there, so you probably want to protect your platoon tank leader a little bit better. This is first platoon HQ, than your average tank, just so then the guys have someone to talk to on the radio, but they don't need to necessarily stay close because they can radio to each other. So what do we got here? We've got an MG ammo bearer, and I noticed that that has lit up all my support units. So what we have here is the 4th platoon HQ there, and here's the little squad members, and they're all my support units, mortar, MG and MG ammo bearer. So those guys should probably stay a little bit close in the upcoming fight because they need to stay near their leader. So next step is terrain. Sorry that took so long. Hopefully you're still with me. So if we jump to a bit of an aerial view, that's what we saw from the map previously. And I can sort of look at it from a few different angles here as I buzz around. What I'm actually hitting there is buttons 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. They're kind of old school combat mission 1 buttons that change the camera from down on the ground at level 1 up to level 9, which shows a really high view. Level 3 is generally my playing camera. Level 4 gives me a bit of, you know, you'll get used to that sort of thing. So crossroads down the end there, and I'll probably want to take the farm on my way through. That hedgerows and bocage over there look a little bit intimidating. I'll talk about bocage a little later on, but that stuff isn't to be trifled with. A fairly open field there to cross. Quite a lot of open fields there. This ridgeline right here is an obvious first staging point. We should be able to get to that quite clearly. And we might be able to get across this open field here too, if we're lucky. Because what I am thinking of doing is attacking down both sides of the road at once. My overall strategy is going to involve a reserve force. You should, whenever practical, and that should be just about every time, have a significant portion of your forces kept in reserve, say 50%. In your typical computer game, it's usually better to focus all your fire on one target. So you'll probably gather together all your units and attack in one strong push in one direction, whether it's RTS or maybe a combined FPS or anything else that thinks it's got strategy involved. And the reason for that is because that they don't take into account time. Usually units can pass over each other. You don't have to worry about friendly fire. They don't get tangled on each other so much. But in this sort of game that's far more realistic, what you need to do is try a couple different approaches perhaps, and then look for openings, and then you want to commit your reserves either to shore up a weak flagging offense that must succeed, or to take advantage of a perceived enemy weakness. So what I'll probably try and do here is use my reinforcements that are coming at the 5 and 10 minute mark as these reserves, which is convenient. It's almost like noob friendly. If they were already here, I'd probably keep one in reserve while I do my attack. And I'll send my 1st infantry platoon down the left hand side here to this obvious first staging point, and then my first set of reinforcements at the 5 minute mark, I might try and send, if everything's going well with the attack towards the farm by the 5 minute mark, I'll probably line those guys up to attack down the right hand side here, and then I can probe both the hedge line and the farm and exploit a weakness if I have it with the 3rd squad. Either shore up, they'll be my reinforcements at the 10 minute mark, and they can either shore up a flagging attack or expose a weakness if we've made a push ahead. That way, if either one of these directions is having success, we should be able to get to the crossroads via one of these flanks. If both ways are having success, well then we'll just capture them in a pincer maneuver. Now I've got the 2 tanks, so I'm going to send one tank to support one attack and a 2nd tank to support the other one. That's the tactics to be used for tanks. Generally you want to do your actual attacks with the infantry, with tanks supporting them, overwatching them using their superior firepower. You don't want to lead with tanks basically ever, because although they're fairly tough and they can be in many ways immune to enemy infantry, it's all too easy for them to to be taken out. In a in other games, FPSs and RTSs that involve tanks. Tanks tend to be fairly decent frontline units because they have a lot of hit points, they're tough, which means that if they get into trouble, they'll actually take a few hits before they die, and you can guarantee on that because they've got a lot of hit points, and so they have a chance to retreat from bad situations, and then you can apply the appropriate unit to get them through. But in a more realistic game, what actually happens is that your tank's immune to all machine gun fire from range. They can have shells bounce off them if it's too low of a caliber or not strong enough, but at the same time, they don't spot very well because they've got bad fields of view, and close by infantry can throw anti-tank weaponry at them. They can take a Panzershrek hit from 100 to 200 meters, and anti-tank guns tend to be designed specifically to hide until they see a tank and then try and destroy it in their first shot. So your tank won't even see what destroys it. If your tank dies, it'll be because he hasn't seen it. So what you need is your infantry to go in there, stir those units up, make sure they get shot at, or at least spot the enemy unit. Once the enemy unit's been spotted, then your tanks can destroy it quite easily. Even anti-tank guns get blown away usually quite quickly if they're spotted before they spot the tank. So you can easily destroy anything with your tanks. It's all about making sure your tanks spot them first though. So the best tactics usually involve your infantry running forward. Your infantry need protection as well, and they need that high firepower of the tanks. So your tanks stand back in support, shooting over the top of your infantry as they charge in an attack. So keeping that in mind, I've got one infantry platoon to play with at the moment and support. So I'll send one infantry platoon down the left hand side with support of a tank. I'll save my other tank. No, actually I'm getting a tank in reserve, so I might send both tanks down towards the farm. My first set of reinforcements will be a new infantry platoon and a new couple tanks, so I can send them down the right hand side. And I'm also getting a new set of support units, so I might send these support units down the left hand side as well. The machine gun in particular will be handy around that hedge line, and I can also use those mortars to hide behind the hedge line and lob shells over the hedge line once someone spots them a target, and I'll show you how to do that as well, which means that I can keep that whole support group in connection as well. So that's my lengthy explanation. Let's just have a look at what sort of, I like to drop down on the ground here and see what sort of rises and hills we have. So this is my first hedge line I'm going to be peeking through, and then a farm, little forest at the farm. So it's all pretty flat and clear straight through to the crossroads, which can be dangerous on attack. Clear line of sights all the way down to those crossroads. That's the advantage of attacking through the Bocage, I suppose, because we can sort of sneak up on that crossroad. So we might be a case of attack through the farm with my initial forces, and then if they get stopped because the enemy has lots of fields of fire set up down there in defense and they're stopping me from charging across this wide open territory, well then my second platoon and maybe even my third platoon can probably fight their way through this Bocage and then flank them at close range. So we'll see how the battle develops, but that's the overall plan, and no battle survives contact with the enemy, so we'll see how it develops in time. That'll probably be in my next video, but since I'm still recording, I'll move on straight on to that second video and we'll see how this first turn goes. Point to note is that I'm playing in WeGo turn-based, so a lot of guys like to play in real time. I like the old school of WeGo because I like not having control of my units for that 1 minute. It's a bit nerve-wracking, it's a bit exciting, and seems a bit more realistic to me. But there's plenty of arguments from real time as well, so not a huge deal if you're not into that. So this is setup phase. Let's, if I give my guys any sort of movement order, no, these are just orders that they're going to execute on the first turn. So I will start giving them some orders. So I'm going to order around this platoon first, and we're basically just going to jog up to those hedge lines. So I'm sure you'll work out the movement and combat commands and that sort of thing pretty quickly. They're not done very well in that, for example, clear target and slow are the same letter J, so it can be pretty, you can quite often give the wrong commands, but that's the way they decided to go with it. So I'll be on movement tab here, and I'll give these guys a quick command down here up to the hedge line. Quick is the best command. Fast is a flat out sprint, so that'll wear them out very quickly. Move is a casual stroll, and it's not really even useful for much of anything, to be honest. Maybe moving tanks at a reasonable speed without going too slow or too fast, but for infantry it just is asking to be shot because you're not moving anywhere quickly and you're not keeping your head down. Slow is keeping your head down. Slow is crawling on your belly, which means that your targets won't be able to see over hedge lines, they won't be able to see over walls, but they'll also conversely not be able to be seen. They'll move very slowly on their bellies and get tired very quickly. Hunt is like a cautious move to target. They'll move cautiously, they'll keep their eyes out, and they'll stop and shoot at the first thing they see. Can be useful for infantry moving through dense forest and that sort of thing, but otherwise it's fairly heavily stymied by the fact that, for example, tanks will shoot at a lone infantryman, and even so also infantry squads. So it's only for when things are quiet, and or maybe scouts, good for scouts, so then they can move and the first thing they'll do is spot a target and hit the dirt. Now, speaking of scouts, that is something that I'm not doing here, and I probably should. So I think I will. This is just for fun, because I'm pretty confident this open area is going to be quite safe. But you should also always recon. I was talking about you should always keep a reserve force, which isn't something you necessarily do in RTSs and so forth. Something you do in RTSs a lot, but perhaps not quite as it's not quite as important as it is in these sorts of realistic games, is you need to scout before you go ahead. So what we can do is we can take any one of these squads and we can go to the admin button and we can split the team up and split off a scout team. This is the split team stuff that I was talking about before. I could have split off an assault team, running to tank team, split off a scout team, which is just 2 riflemen. You can tell by the little rifles, soldier, and I'll send them ahead first. Advantage of that is that they'll be hard to spot because there's only the 2 of them, and if they do die, it's not nearly as big a deal as if an entire squad came under fire or something like that. So I'll order them up ahead first. The other thing I'll do is go to the combat tab, and I'm going to put on a combat arc, a target arc. What I'm going to do, combat, target arc, just like that. Very short arc, which means that they basically won't shoot at anything. In Combat Mission 1 there used to be a hold fire button, but they don't have one in Combat Mission 2 anymore. In Combat Mission 1 they came out with target arcs, and it kind of made hold fire fairly useless because there were several advantages to having target arcs over hold fire. So everyone just started using short target arcs to prevent people from shooting at all. So they got rid of hold fire. I think it used to be in Combat Mission 1 anyway, and so you can use target arcs for making them hold fire, and that's what we're going to do here. So you should probably always do that with your scouts as well. You can move them either quickly or with hunts, but make sure they've got target arcs on, because otherwise they'll shoot with their piddly-two little rifles, reveal themselves and get killed. Where instead I can move them up to that tree line there and leave them there just spotting, and they should be pretty hard to spot until they fire, and they might spot any Germans that are moving around or in exposed situations. So they're going to run off ahead. I'm actually going to do that with another platoon as well. It's up to you how many scouts you want to go. This is perhaps a little bit of overkill because we just need someone to spot up to the ridgeline for me, but another scout team can't hurt. And if I was not keeping my platoon so close together, I definitely want to send scouts through all the possible avenues. In this case we've only got one avenue really, so we don't need to go overkill with the scouts. Now, way those scouts will go as soon as the turn ends, but I want to give them a bit of a head start. So I could pause my infantry by hitting the P button. See, I could pause them for 30 seconds, and then that'll give the scouts a 30-second head start. But I've also got my tanks to worry about and the support units to worry about. Rather than pausing them all, I'm just going to go for one turn, give them a minute head start, and then give all my other guys a command. While I'm in the setup phase, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little trick with mortars, and I'm I'm also going to cheat a little bit because I've played this map before. Mortars, give me mortars. There they are. Okay, so mortars. As with any unit, you can hit T and target where you want to target. No problems. If I was to do this for a normal unit, it would they'd start shooting at that particular piece of ground as soon as the game starts. Mortars, though, are a special case, and I may have done this wrong. This may be in the first turn that happens. I'll describe it first, and then I'll try it in the first turn rather than the setup phase. In the first turn, artillery units like mortars can shoot anywhere on the map without having been able to see it and without having to spot in their rounds. It'll start falling immediately. It's a significant advantage. The reason why they can do this is because it's assumed that before the battle actually starts, so an hour or two ago from now, they planned this attack. They dialed in their mortars then, and so they're ready to fire just as soon as someone tells them that the attack is going to start. So it's like a preparation bombardment. But the real trick is, of course, that we don't know where anything is at this stage because we haven't spotted anything. A little bit of early recon shows me a very faint question mark, so maybe a guy there or a unit there. Couple little question marks over here, very faint, so the recon's very old. But I drop down low, swing around, see this is full line of sight down the road, question mark there, so I'm going to drop my mortars round about there on my first turn. This is the objective. They're going to be set up somewhere here overlooking it, so either that wall or that spot there. Let's see how my cheating goes. They might have mixed things up to change things for me. This isn't something I worked out the first time, but I probably should have. So I'm going to drop my mortars over there on that question mark, and we'll see what happens. So setup phase over. Straight into replay, huh? Okay, so I worked out what I was doing wrong. Okay, so like I say, special thing mortars can do on the first turn, and here's an opportunity to talk about how to call in artillery. So, this next video I might call artillery, you can call artillery on the first turn because it's prepared barrage, like I said, and the way you do that isn't just targeting like I was doing before with the T button. We actually have to call it through the artillery interface, and to call artillery you need a series of prerequisites. The first one is that I could just order these mortars, for example, to fire over here where they can see, and they'd start dropping mortars in that general area. That's not nearly as productive as giving them an artillery mission. An artillery mission requires a unit that has permissions, and that is either a HQ unit, one of these guys with the flags, or a forward observer. They also have permissions. And the other thing that they need to have is a direct C2 to the individual mortar unit. So the C2 unit I spent some time explaining in my first video. They need to have a connection through that. So for example, if this platoon HQ spotted something and wanted to call in this mortar, he would radio that up through the chain of command, and it would come back down to the mortar superior, and that superior would shout the coordinates over to him. So that requires, firstly, that this guy, 1st Platoon HQ, has a direct command up through to Charlie Company, and then Charlie Company has a direct command back down to the 4th Platoon HQ, and then the HQ has some sort of communication with the mortar. There's a couple of shortcuts you can take. I'm not sure that the company that 4th Platoon HQ necessarily needs command directly with Charlie Company to pull this off. So, so long as the 1st Platoon HQ is able to radio to his superior, and the 4th platoon HQ is able to radio his superior, we should be alright. Generally that is going to be, for example, the company, and it's probably going to be over radio, so it probably will come back through that channel. The other thing you can do is, if the mortar team is near to something or someone that has a radio, they can receive these commands directly through Charlie Company, even if they're not necessarily close to their platoon leader. But what I do find is that the platoon leaders have a radio. See, radio there, and a little C2 there indicating that he has a radio. So that's usually the most reliable way to have it. So your best way to do it is to have your platoon HQ for the mortar within shouting range, so he can spot and he can shout, of the actual mortar unit, and then anyone with a radio can dial up 4th platoon and ask for a mortar barrage from whatever mortars that he can yell at. The other way you can pull this off is directly. So through the C2 network is one way. The other way is if I move this platoon over to this hedge line over here as I planned, and then I could move the mortars up there and have them quite close, which is what I also planned, so they're within, say, 50 meters, then 1st platoon could simply shout straight to the mortars and give them their coordinates, and it wouldn't have to go through the whole C2 network. So that's another way of doing it. Generally I do keep my mortars at the back here and just make sure that they've always got C2 networks. Another way is if to go through the C2 network, I mean, is if your platoon HQ isn't able to do the shouting, you've lost them, or you've separated out your mortars a fair way, or anything, you run into problems like that, you can actually move over a vehicle with the radio. The mortar team can use the radio and receive commands. So if all those things are true, you'll be able to call in your mortars, but if any one of those are wrong, you'll see something along the lines on the artillery interface, like out of contact or not deployed, or out of contact's obviously going to be the most common one, and the things to check there is it in the C2 network, does it have radio connection, is it close enough to be shouted at. So we want to call this down as soon as the battle starts. Advantages there are no preparation required, can hit anywhere on the map without having to spot it, because it's assumed we dialed in these numbers ages ago. So we bring up the artillery interface. There's our artillery interface down here. I've selected a unit who has permissions, obviously. If I select my average grunt, denied. So any one of these HQs will do the trick. So we'll just go with 4th platoon HQ since he's the actual direct superior. Select the artillery I want. We've just got the one. You'll see that the mortars are now flashing to show me which one it's going to be. I usually don't pay that much attention. I am going to pay attention to how much HE he's got. 64 shells, so that's a ton, which is great. The other advantage, the other thing that you might want to know, the little hint I can give you, is that 60mm mortars are often deadly accurate. So they're great for what I call sniper work, where I spot an enemy asset that I really need removed, AT guns, maybe a sniper, maybe enemy mortars, things like that. I'll call in the 60mm. If it's more wide area suppression that I need, maybe a couple foxholes, some guys spread over an area in foxholes, maybe some guys packed into a couple of buildings, that sort of thing, well then I'll step up to 80mm or howitzers. Obviously I've got to use what I'm given. I'm not always able to choose 60 over 80 or anything like that, but for example in this case I've only got 60, so I'm going to try and use them fairly tightly and sniper work. So I identified this hedge line here as a bit of a threat last time, and or this wall here. I'm going to go for the hedge line, see what we've got. Can't do both, so I'm going for a linear target here so I can light up this whole hedge line. I could just drop straight on that question mark, but I don't know if I trust the intel that much. Can be a bit fiddly to place. Here's a hint for placing these sorts of things, because you'll have the same problems with movement and everything else in the game. I'm trying to click just on the other side of the hedge line, but it'll think I'm trying to click in front of the hedge line because of my camera angle. So to get around that, I'm going to move to the other side of the hedge line. I'm going to hit V for a 180 switch. That's V for Victor. And now try it again from looking from the other side, and now it happens on that side. And let's just line up that whole hedge there. So that's 33 metres, that's fairly long. Now I have two choices here. I could either drop down a heavy barrage, which will just have them shoot as fast as possible, but also burn through the ammo quite quickly, and try and get some kills in a short space of time. I'm going to try and not use up all my ammo, is what I'm thinking here. The other thing I could do is I could just do a light barrage over a long period of time, so they just keep dropping down the odd shell, with my idea being there that it should keep the enemy suppressed for longer, because every time they don't stick up their heads, another shell will be coming down, and so I could keep them suppressed over a long period of time. Same amount of killing power, just spread over a long period of time. Advantages and obvious advantages and disadvantages, but I think I'm just going to drop a quick heavy barrage here and see if I can get some kills. So let's just go for a medium. I'm going to make it fairly... No, I'm not confident about what's there, so I'll go short. Hopefully they'll drop enough shells there to lather that line for at least a little bit. Straight from the start, confirm. So there's all my details. Yeah, it sounds good. Confirm.
Fire mission, over.
So there's my fire mission
Request
lined up.
fire mission out.
I used control left click then to quickly jump to where my mouse cursor was, and you'll see that the commander and the mortar team is called in both have lines pointing to either end of the artillery strike down there, so I know that's going to happen, and that should start falling from the moment the game starts for real. So accidentally packed my scout team away again. Scout team way over there please, with a target arc. Okay, I'll make another scout team, give them a target arc before they go, and then move quick over to there and see what you boys can see. And I'll wait a turn before giving anyone else an order to lift those scouts, get a bit of a head start. So let's go, compute. Away they go, jump over your fence line. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell those guys to jump over the fence line. So let's see which way they go. There's a disadvantage of just clicking randomly. You'll notice, see these sorts of hedge lines, this shows an example of the two different types of hedge lines that they have in the game. This is a low hedge, which generally infantry can see and shoot over, but I don't think they can pass over it. I think tanks could probably drive over it, but not walk. There's the mortars starting to fire. These big hedge lines though, tanks can't get through it, infantry can't get through it. These are your proper bocages. You'll see it's basically a small hedge line with another giant hedge shut over top. So the only way infantry can get through that is by finding a gap in the bocage like that, and that's where those scouts have ducked through. And away they go.
Now listen up.
Fire, fire, fire. Right, that next wave, I have to see how accurate they were. I'll just gonna rewind a little bit here and see where my... Terrible. That's where those hit. I actually think that's a bug with mortars. I think the first salvo misses off the map. I think that's a known bug. So anyway, hopefully my next set, those three there, then are shooting past now. Hopefully they'll land somewhere more accurate. Alright, so that's the end of my turn. Okay, my scouts are nearly up in position, so we might as well start getting everyone else moving as well. If the scouts happen to spot something terrible before they get there, we'll have time to change course a little bit. So I'm going to send my men to muster over there. Now I split my scouts off, you may be wondering how I can reconnect them back with their squad. It's actually quite simple. All they've got to do is be on the same square as each other at the end of the turn, and they should reconnect. So these scouts are going to wait here, do some spotting. By the time my squad catches up, they should then rejoin into the whole squad. I move them up over there. They can take a little shortcut through the pack, through the hedge that got spotted before. Let's send everyone over. You guys can cluster a bit closer to the entrance. And the platoon leader, he needs to be nearby, but hopefully not exposed. Now, I'm also going to give him a cover arc as well, because he's a valuable unit, and I don't want him just shooting out randomly, drawing fire to himself. Tanks can move over and support. I'm actually going to move them slowly, because tanks moving at slow is about the same speed as infantry moving quickly. I'll give this tank a command through here quickly and then slow across there, because he's going to have to do a full 360, turn around, drive through the gate. He won't make it through the hedge lines, and who knows where he'll go if I don't give him that command. So away those guys go. In your game you might not see all of the movement routes, you might just see the one for this unit selected. Alt P changes it. Show all move paths. I like it. Mortars have to finish their firing before they can move, but we can get the machine gun moving. And he can get to work laying down some fire, so he'll move it there, and I'll move the ammo bearers nearby so that they can give ammo up if the machine gun runs out of ammo. And I'm not sure what happens if I move my platoon who is actually calling in a artillery strike. I suspect it won't matter, but I'm just going to leave him there just to be sure until the mortar mission is over. Machine guns, okay, they're going to move down there, and there's their little waypoint. Here's a little hint. If you want to give them a command to do at a specific waypoint, you can click on the waypoint, brings it up nice and big, and it's telling me they're quick. I could actually change it to a fast or a hunt or a slow. I want them to be quick, but when they get there, what I actually want them to do is then deploy the weapon. So I press deploy weapon. Machine gun's going to take 21 seconds to pack up. No, 14 seconds to pack up and 21 seconds to deploy. So he's going to spend 14 seconds before he moves off. He's going to arrive there. He's going to immediately start deploying the gun, which is exactly what I want to do. I don't want to have to wait till, select him when he arrives and order him to deploy at that stage. So there's a good way of automating him. Now, I said this Bocage stuff is quite thick, and it is. People can't pass through it. You have to understand that in real life, this Bocage is really very thick. You'll see at the bottom here, it has a bit of an earthen wall. In real life, that can go as high as 5 feet. And then on top of that, it's a really thick group of brambles and bushes and thickets that even a man can't pass through. That's why they actually used to have to cut a little walkway for people. And tanks couldn't pass through it. They couldn't drive through it. It was literally too strong. I've seen a real video from World War II of a little light Stuart tank trying to get through this stuff, and they'd get a run up, so they were going full speed, smash into the hedges and bounce off. They did get through eventually after 2 or 3 goes with a cutting device, Cullen's device as they call it. But if they didn't have something to try and cut those hedges out at all, then tanks just really wouldn't make it through. So by parking my infantry on this side of it, they're well covered, they're well concealed. But once they arrive here, by giving them a command that points them right to the very edge of the hedge like this, after a couple seconds they'll start to be able to spot through it, and they will be able to shoot through it. So in this way you can muster on the state of Bocage, and you can actually shoot and see through the Bocage. Probably a bit of a disadvantage, I'm sure. You can't see through as well as you could if you're in the open, but you also can't be seen as well. You've got very good cover, so it's the obvious place to stage attacks from. And this is how you can actually shoot through Bocage, if you are wondering. So everyone's prepared and ready to go, so let's go, and hope that my mortars are now falling on the right spot. Already. Machine gun. Okay, now my mortars are falling more on the right spot. Not quite as accurate as I would have liked, but it's not too bad. It's okay. They've got a mortar machine gun team right where I thought it might be. This mortars really aren't falling very accurate at all. I'm quite disappointed in that. What we can see about this is when I have an enemy selected like that, we can actually see which friendly units can spot him. They're the highlighted ones, and that would be one of my scout teams up on the Bocage, peeking their way through, not revealing themselves. So the enemy hasn't seen them, he hasn't started shooting, but I can see him. So he's actually going to be a bit of a prime target for me to drop some mortars on a heavy machine gun like that with a wide field of fire. So I'll probably, once my mortar mission's finished, I might be calling in a mortar strike on that guy. And that's the end of my turn. Tab to jump behind my units. That's how I'm flicking around like that. Next thing you might notice is that when I select this platoon, the German heavy machine gun disappears. When I unselect it, it reappears. What we're actually seeing there is that this squad cannot see that heavy machine gun, so it disappears. I can only see what that squad can see that I have selected. If I unselect, it reveals what everyone added up can see. So this squad won't shoot at that heavy machine gun at any stage until he spots it himself. In fact, every individual man has his own spotting calculations, so they won't reveal targets until the majority of the squad has spotted that target. Information like that tends to filter through the squad quite quickly. Of course, if one guy sees it, he'll shout it out to his friends, but what you will notice sometimes is that half your squad will be shooting at a target the other half can't see. So everyone's moving up into position, tanks are coming around. Let's see how the artillery mission's going. So I'm going to select the guy who called on the artillery mission originally. I'm still in replay phase, it's done on there. Have a look at my artillery. Firing for less than a minute, it says, so that means it's got less than a minute left on this mission. So we'll leave them go for another minute and then they should be done, then we can pack up and move them on as well. Might be able to have a pot shot with that heavy machine gun with my tanks when they get up into position. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, everyone's still moving up, so that'll do for this turn as well. What I might do is make that tank move a bit quicker, actually, because everyone's got ahead of me. Next turn. Got the platoon HQ selected here, so I can't see what everyone's shooting at. So unselect, and there's that HE, there's that HMG. So everyone's seen that, including even the tanks having a few shots. The tank commander stuck his head out, had a shot with his big cow. So everyone's starting to shoot. Spotted some more Germans over in the Bocage over there. Who's that? It's a rifle squad. One little guy. Combat mission 1, the original combat mission guide veterans will be shocked and appalled. We can tell so much information from just looking at one unit. Ooh, I think I heard a German go down. That'd be good. Okay, we're done. So some really long range firing going on there. I possibly should have told my guys to hold fire a little bit. But we're just going to leave them there on spot for the time being and we'll see what they can see. Mortar mission's over. I'm going to speed this tank up by selecting his waypoint, move, speed it up buddy. Fast, doesn't matter if tanks go fast, it's going to affect the firing rate but they really shouldn't be shooting on the move anyway. And we're going to move our mortar up into position. Quick move up to the top there please. Mortars can move up now. I'm trying to decide whether to leave my mortars slightly behind and then the platoon HQ can call in a fire mission on anything it can see, thus keeping my mortars fairly safe. But what I might actually do is move the mortars right up to the hedge, give them a cover arc, so then you'll notice there's a leader with a Thompson and some soldiers that all protect the mortar with carbines. I don't want them firing at random targets, so I'll move them up to the hedge line as well. The reason why I might do that, think I'll leave these guys go for another turn, so I'll hit done while I explain. The reason why I'm going to do that is because that 60mm mortars in particular are deadly accurate when they can see the target. I'm not sure, I think a properly dialed in mortar mission might be just as accurate as well, but they can take 3 or 4 minutes for them to dial in, whereas if I just give my mortar team a command, they'll start shooting immediately, start spotting it in, probably have it dialed in after 2 or 3 shots, and then you can bring the pain. The disadvantage to having direct fire like that is you can't control the mission. It's just a point target. They just try and pound the one target every time. So the mortar team took a few seconds to pack up, and meanwhile the tanks have spotted some things. Now, the tanks have moved up to the edge of the Bocage, so they're doing, as I explained, they poked their way through, and for now having shots. He shot some HE out with that machine gun. Yeah, doing quite well. I don't think that machine gun's going to be shooting at anything. They're hidden on the ground, they're close, they're hiding. I could hear the fire from another machine gun, so there's another one there somewhere taking shots at me, and there's someone in that house over there. So I think my first objective here with this platoon will be to assault the house. There's some more Bocage I can play with over there, so they'll probably have some defences up there. House fighting can be a bit deadly, so we'll get to see that in action next. I'll come through these. My plan for this small attack is under the cover of these Shermans with their HE shells and their 50 cal machine guns. We can assault across that bridge, get up into the barn, and then move on to the house. Expending a lot of firepower in the process, but should keep my men alive. Meanwhile, hopefully the tank won't use up all his ammo shooting at random targets he sees down the far end of the field. Do have to be a little bit wary of crossfire by the looks of it over at, because we see a couple question marks over there, so there's quite a few Germans hidden over in that Bocage over there. I doubt they can see over to the house. After all, there is this thick hedge line here, so we'll watch out for that. I'm confident my tanks are fairly safe behind those hedges, but I do have to be careful because, like I say, long fields of fire here, prime AT gun positions. If they had some hidden spots, maybe over these trees over here, or where I originally dropped was fear of an AT gun down there. I'm not sure how an AT gun would go shooting through the Bocage, considering I can shoot through it. I wouldn't be surprised if they can shoot through it and get me too, so we'll see how that goes in subsequent turns. So everyone's nearly in position, and so we might want to consider the attack next. Attack on the town. So I'm going to want this Sherman with as much firepower as possible. So I want the tank commander popped up. That gives the Sherman a lot better views. Like I said, tanks have bad spotting ranges, bad ability to spot. And the only way to improve it is by making sure your tank commander has his head popped out. You can adjust that with the open up command on the special tab. Disadvantage, of course, is that the tank commander can die. He can be shot, and if he gets shot, that will really rattle your crew inside. Their morale will be very badly affected if your tank commander happens. Nobody likes to have a headless corpse bouncing around inside a tin can, so you want to avoid that if possible. They're generally fairly safe. They generally button up if they come under fire. That sometimes can be too late, especially if they're up there firing the 50 cal at the time. But I'm confident he's behind the hedges here, so we can really bring some firepower to bear on that barn. Now we did spot someone in the barn, so my plan is to do some Overwatch with the Sherman and also with the second squad. So the plan is this Sherman here and this squad here are going to fire on that barn to make any Germans inside there hit the deck or to kill them. And if they hit the deck, then they won't be looking, while my other two squads, one of which is taking a casualty, poor fella, charge and attack it from close range. They'll charge through these trees, they'll get to within close range, throw in some grenades, and then charge in and take the barn by force. So it requires some pretty careful timing, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Okay, so we're going to try this assault on the house, but before I start on that, I just thought I'd give some quick hot tips on assaulting a position. So this tactic will work, and you should probably employ it whenever you're assaulting any position, not just houses. This is your classic fire and maneuver style assault, and so whenever you're maneuvering, you need an Overwatch element. Now, your Overwatch element is typically tanks are one of your best options for that, particularly Shermans. They've got a coax machine gun, they've got a radio man machine gun, and you can also have your commander laying down 50 cal from the top, as well as HE. So they're one of your best options. Another pretty good unit that can provide nice Overwatch is machine guns. Their high rate of fire, their ability to suppress, and I prefer. Not given those options, or as in including those options, I also like to have one squad Overwatch for a second squad, which is what I'm doing here in addition to my tanks. In a pinch, what you can do is have one squad do this assault by themselves. So what they would do is split into teams and have one team Overwatch for another team. And there's two ways of achieving that, and one is to actually split your squad into teams and split them into an assault team, or alternatively you can split it in half. I'd probably go assault team, and then you'll have a leader team, and then you have your leader team assault, while your assault team uses their gunner to Overwatch. I could be wrong on that, someone might want to correct me in the comments, because assault would kind of imply they should lead with the rapid fire machine gun, so then they're close range where automatic weapons are the most powerful, I suppose, is supposed to be the idea. But I like to have the rapid fire machine guns overwatching to try and provide suppression, so I don't know which is the better option. And the third way that or a second way that a single squad can perform this maneuver by themselves, you can split them, or you can also use the assault command. And to do the assault command, you would give them an order up into the house, and probably let's not even stick in that second order. I'm not actually going to follow through on this one. You do something like that, just roughly speaking, and the game will automatically split them into two squads, which will leapfrog that way up until the waypoint one overwatching the other. So it's sort of automated. But I don't recommend that, because you have more control if you split them. They might run halfway. If I gave them that order, they'd probably run up to about the bridge and then halt, and then have the second team try and leapfrog past that, which would be not a very good use of forces, having one set of guys just flapping out there in the open while your Overwatch team tries to run up. So that's why I'd prefer, if you're going to do it by one squad, to manually split them and control them. But I hardly ever actually have a call for that. I nearly always have one squad overwatching another squad, or tanks and machine guns overwatching for infantry. In this case, I'm going to have tanks overwatching infantry. Now, because it's WeGo, I'm going to have to be a little bit tricky with my assault. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up with my tank on the barn. I wonder where the best place to put it is. Probably straight in through those windows there. Maybe even a little bit short there. That ought to give him a bit of what for. Now he'll open up with the 50 cal, the coax, and his main cannon. It's in this case I do want HE shelled in there for at least a few seconds. Okay, so I am going to put HE into the barn, but you've got to watch out for friendly fire. Now, the forum's a little bit divided on exactly how friendly fire works, but rule number one is that HE will kill and will suppress your troops. So I need to make sure, if I'm going to shoot this barn with the tank's main cannon, and he'll choose to shoot HE, that I cancel it before my troops actually get too close to the barn. Small arms fire will not kill your troops, such as light machine guns, medium machine guns, squad-based weaponry. So it won't kill your troops. So I could keep firing with my Overwatch squad, but it may suppress your troops. So if my guys run in there, go to assault the building proper, and then get suppressed by my Overwatch team, then they're just going to be stuck out the front of the house, suppressed, and get gunned down. So that's not a good idea either. I'm not sure if that actually happens or not. So it mustn't happen too often, or I'm not entirely sure what the story is there. But better be safe than sorry, I suppose, and try and cancel the fire before your troops move in. It's just if you make a mistake, you don't have to worry about troops actually dying. Now 50 cal and higher, I don't know if there is anything higher than 50 cal machine guns, they will kill your troops as well. And the 50 cals are these guys on top of your tanks that the tank commanders will use. So when my troops get close to that barn, I am going to have to order my tank to target light instead of target, so that they don't use their main gun and they'll just use machine guns. I'll also have to button up my commander so he doesn't use the 50 cal on top. So I'll show you how to do that when the time comes. So my tank is going to open up, like I say. This squad here, I am going to tell them to target light on the barn. Now the reason why I'm doing that is so then this guy here with his M7 doesn't go shooting grenades in there. Looks like he's only got the one AT grenade as well, so it'd be pretty annoying if he used that. So and then a lot of squads have bazookas and things like that as well, and you don't want them to waste that ammo, so make sure you use target light for your Overwatch. Who we got here? That's my scout group. You guys should really be part of this Overwatch to get in there. And the commanders, you know what? I'm going to tell the commander to clear target. So if anyone sticks their head up, hopefully the commander will shoot it. Okay, so I was going to talk about spotting at some stage as well. I might talk about that later, but in case I forget, just note that binoculars do matter. They narrow field of view and give you longer vision. Okay, so this squad's actually going to have to do the assault. So because turns take a minute, and because I don't want them to arrive and take HE in the face, I am actually going to pause these guys for 15 seconds before we order them in. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take them to get over there, because I mean they might come under fire and get suppressed on the way. I'm not really that experienced, so I don't know how long it's going to take troops to run that far. Certainly, you know, you could say better to be safe than sorry and make sure they stop short, but then I don't want them to take too long either, because then my suppression efforts will be wasted. So I'll click there once now, and then I'll click here, get them to the entrance. Now they will regroup on waypoints, so they should run up here. If there's any stragglers, they'll wait for the stragglers, regroup, and then run across the bridge, where they'll regroup out the front of the house. Now, next trick is if I click on this waypoint and then give them a target inside the building. One thing to note about that target is, you'll notice I have the waypoint ticked, I click target, but look where the target line is coming from. It's stupid, I know, but it comes from the base group. But then when I click on the building, red line comes from there. Same thing goes for line of sight. You can actually get line of sight from that waypoint that I have highlighted. It looks like it's coming from that group, but in actual fact, it's coming from that waypoint. You'll see I can see straight through those trees. I can see over to the bridge there. I can see out onto that river where this squad normally probably couldn't see. It's because the line of sight's been calculated from the waypoint, not the squad location like it looks like. Okay, so what I've done there is I've targeted in the building, so they'll run up, they'll regroup there, then they'll start firing on inside the building. Because the range is quite close, they'll also probably lob grenades. They've got 20 grenades, so they should almost certainly lob a few grenades in there. So I'll let them keep that up for 15 seconds. So with the waypoint selected still, I've hit pause 3 times. So now they're going to pause for 15 seconds. Pause will stop movement, but it won't stop targeting commands. So they'll sit there and shoot for 15 seconds. Then Let's fast. Oh no, I just changed that to a fast. Let's unselect it so we can add a waypoint. Fast into the barn, please. If there's any Germans left alive in there, they are not going to be happy. See some Americans come running in like that. Okay, so we're about ready to go to see how this assault goes. Let's see if everyone else is on board. These guys can keep the far side pinned down. In fact, I might use my machine gun here to try and suppress anyone over here. Let's aim about there. Spray a bit of fire around in case there's someone hiding over there. Machine guns have a lot of ammo, so you can just afford to have them area deny areas. I might talk about machine guns a bit more. I'm hoping I'll talk about various machine guns and smoke and other tactics as we go through the Bocage. Because another hot tip is I have this tank doing this, but with some tricky waypoints, I could actually get him to fire for, say, 30 seconds and then cancel that order, but it's not as simple as it sounds. And I'll show you that. I'll just keep this assault relatively simple, and I'll show you how to do that later on. Okay, we're all good. Mortar team moving up. Alright, let's see this in action, shall we? First HE shell misses. There's a Canadians and super cow on top. The HE's in that tree actually. It's not going to be any good at all. Machine guns keeping it suppressed. There we go. That was scary. Okay, their squad's off now. Left here, so I think my squad might get a little bit too close here. Oh, there's some Germans running out the back. Look at them fleeing. Okay, so they're regrouping there on that first waypoint. They're actually completely pinned at the moment, and that is probably friendly fire. Okay, the suppression levels are dropping, but I think they probably cancelled the rest of their assault. Let me just rewind back to before they were pinned and see what it was that pinned them. They started taking fire with a look before they even rounded the corner. Oh, I see. Just lost a tank. Just got frontally penetrated. Not sure that tank's actually destroyed though. Ah, ding! Off the front. Yeah, the tank's actually just been okay. This is good. As long as this tank actually survives, I'll be able to show you remount, or at least I can talk about it. That looked like another shot. Here we go. Who's this? Yeah, the AT gun. Looks like my mortars didn't do a good enough job. Hopefully we can dispatch him next turn. Okay, we can worry about that and assault the house at the same time. Done. Reinforcements just arrived. You hear the sound effect? And there they are. Okay, so original plan was to send them heading through the Bocage, and I think we can still do that. That AT gun's definitely going to be an issue trying to cross this open. So we'll try and surgically remove it with mortars. Okay, so my assault team still has that order. You'll notice sometimes that if they get too panicked or pinned, they will actually cancel orders or give themselves orders. So I have confirmed that they are still planning to assault. They haven't quite finished regrouping on the waypoint yet though. It's probably this guy here's fault, who's cowering after having a tank explode next to him. I am going to... Whoa, he's blown a hole in the... I better cancel on the HE there.
Hold your fire.
Hold fire, please. Target light in there. You can keep... If there's any... Is there any Germans in there? It might not be. I might cancel that.
Ceasefire.
save ammo, but if he sees anyone, he'll still open up. And same for these guys. Well done, boys. Mission complete. Judging from the Germans I saw running out the back, I'm not sure there's anyone left in those buildings. Oh, yeah, there's someone. It's a squad. Well, they've lost a man. Who sees him? The mortar team sees him. Don't shoot at him. They've got a cover arc on, so that's good. Is it deployed? Not deployed. Please deploy. Special deploy weapon. I need you to take out an AT gun. Pronto. Okay, that machine gun I noticed was knocked out. Combat Mission 1 veterans are going to be appalled that I get this much information just by clicking on them, but I know that I don't have to worry about them anymore because their gun is taken out. No, give me the machine gun. Not deployed. There we go. No line of sight, no line of sight. Damn. AT gun is annoying. Worry about the new squad later. Okay, so this guy took a hit. The crew panicked. Here they are. You'll see their icon is a little bit faded. It means I can't control them because they're too panicked at the moment. And they're running for it. Which is fair enough because now the tank's spotted. It's a bit of a magnet for AT weaponry, so probably best to get out and run. The commander's dead. He must have, he had his head sticking out the top when they took the hit and died, which is going to affect their morale pretty bad. So even if they rally, that's not going to be very effective, but an ineffective tank is still better than nothing. So what I can do is when they rally, I can order them back into the tank. You can check whether a tank is actually destroyed or dismounted by clicking on it after they've climbed out. Green base says okay, brown or red base with skull and crossbones means it's knocked out. It'll also say dismounted or knocked out down here. So if it's only dismounted, you can get back into it once your crew rallies. I'd like to do that. I'd like to get back into my tank and then back up from the Bocage so it can't continue to be shot. I also have to be careful that AT gun doesn't shoot at my infantry hiding behind my Bocage, but let's continue on with the assault and I'll get my other team doing things. I saw an undeployed machine gun. Oh yeah, that's my reinforcements. Okay, so aha, is that a Cullen's device I see on there? No, no, that's fine, that's fine. What have we got? I have a platoon, second platoon. I have MG, yep, exact same as before. 2 Shermans, 1 infantry platoon and 1 support platoon. So I'm going to order the Shermans. Let's go at normal speed so they don't get too far ahead of the infantry. Backspace to remove a waypoint. Now while I'm giving waypoints here, I've given them 90-degree turns there, or even a more than 90-degree turn, which I don't care about terribly, to be honest, but in this case, because they're perfectly safe. But it does slow them down significantly. It's more efficient, it's faster if you have the room to make them turn in a rounder fashion, such as if I wanted to get around this corner a bit more efficiently, I'd give them shallower turn radiuses. So I accidentally stopped recording and missed a turn or two, but here's my tanks with the shallow turns making their way up. A couple of my troops now, my recon section, my recon squad, running ahead to the next objective. The rest of the platoon waiting back here. They'll be heading off shortly. Over this side, I accidentally gave these guys an order and they moved, and I've had to move them back. Meanwhile, the assault on the barn went ahead more or less flawlessly. I think I talked about injuries last time, didn't I? See that guy injured, the red cross. If we leave these guys here for a couple of seconds, they should give him buddy aid if they don't come under direct fire. Different to if he had have died, they'd also give him buddy aid, but much faster as they just strip him of his gear. Yeah, I see that we've spotted a bunch more stuff up on the road, and I'm now leapfrogging ahead with the second squad, who used to be Overwatch, and now the original squad provide Overwatch as they leapfrog ahead, which is pretty standard maneuver. So I can see a lot of Germans up here, actually. Let's see, what are you guys? That's a platoon HQ. Company HQ. Squad. There's some guys getting buddy-aided. Actually, I can see them working away there. Heavy machine gun team for the Germans, 6 guys or so, but we've given them a fair bit of pain. So we've got a few things to take out on that far side there. And my tank group is still panicked. Okay, so my tanks will be in position any minute. Deploy Mr. Machine Gun. Deploy Mr. Mortar. Machine gun and the tanks can provide Overwatch, while my next 2 squads also push up to that small hedge line. And I better get the platoon HQ head up as well so he can still shout at them. Now my mortars, I want these to take out some machine guns I saw. No, the AT gun. So if you guys could rush over to this spot and deploy, that'd be fantastic. Guys, rush up to the top. Deploy your machine gun, see who you can shoot. You guys can use your Garands to take pot shots. Mostly they're just carrying a lot of ammo for the machine guns. So. Okay, let's see how all that goes together. Better turn my trees back on. Each individual man is modelled here. Those are Garands firing heavy shoot. Here the guy at the bar, there he goes, shooting up a little burst. It's long range, so he's just doing short bursts. Some Germans doing a runner, and sounds like a Thompson trying to kill him. Well, yep, see the Thompson just in that middle guy's hand, that's the leader. So you can learn, that'd be the AT gun there, getting my running element. Whoa, careful with that HE guy. Once you'll get to learn the different sound effects of the different guns, and you can actually tell what's shooting at you without even seeing it. I'll need to move that squad leader up. You guys are running even further away. Fine. Second platoon, halfway across the field. Okay, everything running smoothly over there. Okay. These guys caught out on the bridge though, pinned. You need to move to there as quickly as possible, and then jog into the house, please. Second story. Did I talk about the second story before I accidentally? But the second story gives you a wider field of view, lets you see more things, but it's less defensive. The bottom floor tends to be more defensive because of the stone wall that many houses have around them. This one doesn't, but still it'll put me out of line of sight of the vast majority of the enemy Germans up there. Up on the second floor they'll all be able to see. The house will provide some cover, but generally you need to decide whether you want the field of view or the defensive capabilities of the bottom floor. Now my tank, gonna reverse and then move up. This will give him a better line of sight up at the enemies up there, and just to make sure he doesn't get distracted, I'll give him a target arc, like so. I do hope that the TD... Aha! Found ya. TD doesn't get spotted. Okay, so... attack. That should do. If he could actually see that, like who can see him? These guys, I can click like so, and I'll snap straight to that unit, which can be pretty handy. But I'm going to let them continue to fire. What's he's aiming down the road now. In fact, this tank here might be in a spot of bother if he gets spotted, so let's back him up behind the Bocage where he can't be seen. I'm going to have to keep my eye on that TD. If I see it get suppressed or something, I can dash my tanks across that open field, but it's looking a bit hairy at the moment, and there's no other gaps. I don't have any engineers to blow a gap. I could tell the tanks to shoot the Bocage, but it'll take several minutes of HE to try and blow my way through. It's not really worthwhile. So I'm just going to have to wait till that is removed before moving up with those tanks. I could try and hit it with my tank. No line of sight. Oh well, better luck next time. Let's see if my squad on the bridge can get off there before they take too many losses. Couple shots go. Bam. Well. Whoa, cookoff. Well, I guess those guys won't be getting back in that tank after all. Let's see that again, because I think we're going to need a bit of buddy aid now. And that's the danger of having guys near to a tank.
Look out, enemy infantry.
First shell will probably do some damage to a couple of the guys. Expecting it to rise. There it is. All goes down and the cookoff. Oh, the cookoff didn't actually get anyone else. But now that's on fire, those cookoffs could keep happening over subsequent turns. So you kind of don't want to hide infantry too close to tanks in case the ammo cooks off. Whoa. Artillery. Oh, it's all starting to happen. So those boys are now rattled. Alright. So a couple of things I need to check here. First, let's see how the mortars are going. Oh, look how accurate those 60 mils are falling. Now, almost exactly where I told them. And the splash from them, I'd say, the reason why I can't see the AT anymore, oh, HMG there too, heavy machine gun, is because they've ducked down because the mortars are causing them a lot of pain. Oh, it took a shot. Shot at what? Oh, that's it, changing angles now to start shooting at the tank. Well, we might let those mortars keep going then until I can confirm it's knocked out. There it goes, blowing up my Sherman. So you can sort of see the effect of mortars landing nearby. The guy doesn't seem bothered by them at all, does he? Now he's been suppressed. And that mortar right there, gee, the AT gun will have to be lucky to be alive after that. Okay, My guys look like they're going to run off the map. Now, something very important happened over here. Looks like it missed entirely, but I think that's an enemy artillery piece hitting off the map, so that's good. But that is a spotting round. That means the enemy has an observer and is calling in artillery, and those rounds are probably a step closer and closer to that target. And by judging where the spotting rounds land, I need to guess where he's called in the artillery, and I need to evacuate that area before the fire for effect mission is executed. These guys didn't get off the bridge and they're starting to fire back, so I think they might have ignored my order. Tank's backed up to safety. I know that AT gun is now pointing the other way and possibly suppressed or knocked out, so it might be time to risk a tank or two. I might try smoking up first. We'll see. Do I smoke or do I dash? Let's smoke. I was going to show this a bit further on at the Bocage, but what I'm going to do is firstly move up. Then I'm going to aim some smoke at the enemy. Target smoke to there, please. Now, like I said, targeting orders will continue. The only way to cancel them is with another targeting order. I wonder which way the wind's blowing today. Just can't get up where I want it. I'd have to check the wind. It's going to be important. Conditions. Gentle from the southeast. Okay. Coming from there, so if we shoot it a little bit to the left, the wind should hopefully blow it into his face. Now he's going to keep doing that for the entire minute, so it'll probably take him 5 to 10 seconds to drive to there, then he'll start dropping smoke shells. He's only got 6, I only want him to shoot a couple, so pause there for 20 seconds shooting your smoke. I'm guessing that'll be about 2 shells. And then, no, that can be fast. And then please back up, and then on this one I give him another order. I'm just going to give him a little target arc, so that'll stop him from continuing to shoot. And that's how you can do a tricky scoot and shoot maneuver. You can use this in a variety of situations. One is this, where I'm going to scoot forward, shoot a few smoke rounds, and then back up. You could also do it when you're looking over a hill, or you've got some other form of cover and you just want to pop around, squeeze off a shot or two, and then back up. With careful timing and placement of the waypoints like that, move forward, target, pull back, give another target command, and that's how you control your tanks. If you wait 1 minute, so at the start of next turn, in case I forget, please back up, and then zip over to there as quick as possible. Yep, that'll hopefully do. Mortars. No. Let's get them. Let's move them up. Because we seem to have secured this hedge line just fine. So let's move everyone up to poke our noses through. Let's see what's on the other side. You guys, you've ignored, haven't you? I told you, run there, and you can jog into the house and take a look. And you guys, well, alright, in the interest of education, we'll risk another cook-off. You guys head back to this square, please, and start buddy-aiding those guys, or they die.
Let's go at the double.
Sir, we spotted an enemy unit.
They got off the bridge at least. Oh! Well, nearly everyone got off the bridge. What do we have here? Oh, nice squad. The guys in the Bocage are trading fire with some Germans. Right, this guy's morale is down to nervous. So they're still doing okay, despite a bit of a rough jog over to this house. There's another spotting round. Where was that? At the back? I don't know where they're aiming that yet. Doesn't seem to be doing too well. Meanwhile over here, they're up in teams. Up and up hiding. These guys running out in the open, I'm pretty lucky. So they seem to be falling, doing some sort of fallback maneuver. Right, okay. Another set of reinforcements. Alright, another tank. Where'd my smoke rounds go? So he's backed up and he stopped. Smoke rounds did not go too well. I'm going to risk it now though. I've got lots of tanks. Which is, don't try this at home, kids. Target. Rush straight up to the Bocage as quick as you can. Actually, I might leave him exposed for a bit longer. Oops, too far. As soon as I got him overwatching the Bocage, and I can use him as in Overwatch to bounce from Bocage field to Bocage field. Now I see that two soldiers here are working on medic. I'm sure that I've said it at least once by now, but so I ordered them onto the same square, give them 5-10 seconds where they're not under a great deal of fire, and they'll start medicing. These guys are all injured. We still haven't seen anyone actually dead yet, so it'll take them some time to medic all those guys up, but they will get their ammo and any important equipment like grenades and rifles that they might need, or machine guns. If they had been dead, the process would be the same but much quicker, and by doing this I'll improve my chances of a score, because a lot of scenarios have a score which is prevent number of casualties, so these guys won't count as dead at the end with a bit of luck. So that's good. Now this is my reserve force, was my original plan. XO team, Charlie Company HQ. I thought there would be a platoon of infantry with you, so you've ruined my chances of having a reserve. So I'll leave that tank there as reserve, and I can throw them into whichever attack path needs a further push or to shore up a weakness, because I'm not going to send an XO team and a HQ anywhere. That's fine, that's fine. What are we going to do with these guys? How you doing? Okay, some things to note about morale and fitness that these guys are now showing for us. These guys are tired with a yellow box. It means that they will not recover. They're going to be exhausted, or at least penalised for the rest of the battle because I've pushed them too hard. tired is perhaps not too bad, but you can be tiring, ready and okay, but as soon as you go to tired, you'll recover to an improved situation, but you'll never get back to fully fit again. So I'm going to have to suffer that penalty for the rest of the map. And these guys are back to nervous. I thought I saw them rattled with the yellow box. Might have to check that. Maybe I'm wrong about the yellow boxes. I thought that meant there was a permanent penalty, because those guys have recovered back to nervous. My little tank crew won't though. Maybe I pointed out with them. They're still on a panic and tired. So not that I'd ever use them again without a tank, but if they're an infantry squad, it's a much bigger deal. Oh yeah, I need to move my platoon leaders up. Move them up to the tree, but V to quickly look behind because I misclicked. Target arc, because I don't want you guys giving away. You can just go and spot for me so we can see what's up on that road. I'm gonna have to push across that field or down the side of the river there. So I'll concentrate on the Bocage for now. If we can make our way all the way down there, we can flank from fairly close range those guys at the crossroads. Alright, we'll wait for our tanks to move up into position to give us Overwatch, and then we'll bound ahead. A big advantage, of course, to having my infantry screen like this is if any of those Germans that I'm routing had been Panzer Force teams, or Panzershrek teams, because most Germans do have Panzer Forces, then I don't have to worry about my tanks getting ambushed. So the smoke's obscuring the road there. Hopefully that's doing a pretty good job. Giving my tanks clear cover because they are now dashing out in the open. Hear that rapid fire Tommy gun perhaps? What do we have over here that everyone spotted? Oh, there is a Panzershrek team. They're not suppressed yet. But we can probably smoke him up. Okay, just double check that everyone's in position, nobody's taken unnecessary hits. Oh, you guys decided to run across the open, wow. You're brave. Check on the ammo of my tank. 32 HE rounds left. Important to check on that because they tend to burn through the HE quite quickly. And my mortar team, they're out. 2 miles, I'll use the guns to shoot anything you want. Sometimes you get mortar ammo bearers, and if you want them to trade their ammo up, you just have to put them nearby and they'll automatically request and take ammo off nearby people, whether it's a ammo bearing team or just somebody who happens to be carrying some HE around. They can do that. If the ammo happens to be in a vehicle, such as a truck, then you need to actually get them into the truck and use the acquire command. Right, these guys, it's ridiculous that they're just lying in the road. Up over here, lickety split. So you can provide radio calls for them. Right, another round to get my tanks up. Germans way over there. Yeah. The commander decides to duck back down. Oh, another ammo cook-off by the sounds of that. Okay, now I've ordered this tank through the Bocage. And he can't drive through that, even the low hedge. These very small ones like this, he might be able to, but these medium-sized ones, they can't, so he's going to have to drive through the fence instead. And so he should be safe from that AT gun if it's still up and running. Let's see if that ammo cook-off did any more killing. Little puff of smoke. Like it. Good, good. Right, and the turn. Is anyone medicing? No, no they are not. See, this is some of the... Buddy aid can be a bit fiddly in this way. They're one action square over, so they're not going to buddy aid this guy. So let's creep over there. Hope we don't die to an ammo cook-off while we buddy aid him. How we going here? Ooh, taking a few losses. Oh, second story issue. Again, now they are rattled with a yellow box, which is not good. Oh, we've lost our XO. There's nearby Germans. Not going well. This barn guys aren't really helping out, so let's move them up. And I don't think that second story is really working out. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell them to hide. Alright, there's also debate about this on the forums. Okay, my plan is I'm going to tell them to hide. That should make them lie on their bellies. As soon as they lie on their bellies, the Germans shouldn't see them because they won't be able to see them through the windows if they're lying on their bellies. Once they stop coming under fire, they should decide to do a bit of buddy aid there. We'll fix up those couple casualties. But to make sure of it, I'm also going to give them a target arc. Because I've heard that even when you tell them to hide, they sometimes take little pot shots, which can give away their position. And I don't want to draw any fire for a while till I get that buddy aid sorted. So, hide to make them put their heads down and cover arc to make sure they don't fire. That should make them pretty hard to spot. Okay, machine gun also taking a casualty. Wow. But they've still got heaps and heaps of ammo. Right, tanks moving around. I know. I'm gonna wait another 60 seconds for the tanks to get up into position. Running for it. Oh, there's that Panzershrek team I was going to smoke. Grinding as he drives over. Now, here's some stats on my tanks, such as their ammo and damages. We're going to check to see if his tracks, where are tracks? Most of weapon controls. Don't see them listed there actually, but they're normally the top one. I was just checking to see if he was going to take any track damage for driving over that. They sometimes take a little bit, especially if they hit it at speed. You can actually lose your track driving over fences and so forth. As well as there's chances of just losing it, throwing a track on a road or getting bogged in soft earth, so you have to be a bit careful about that. Another 60 seconds. I don't plan to really move everyone up at this stage. Let's see if there's buddy aid. Okay, it's in progress. I want to move away from that burning tank when I get a chance. And how about you guys? Anyone aiding yet? No, it looks like maybe soon. And if you're wondering, no, they do not pick up German gear and use it. This guy surrendered. His morale's just too low. There's none of his friends left nearby. Some enemies, us, not too far away, so he's surrendered. So now, if the Germans were able to get a German unit near to him, much like Buddy Aid, put them in the same square, then he'll come back and you can continue to use him and he won't count as missing in action. If they don't, after a few rounds, he'll turn into a white flag and disappear off the map, and that's so then the other player can't continue to use him as a scout, a stationary scout that we can't do anything about. So yeah, we just need to wait a few rounds and he'll probably disappear. Okay, my tank is nearly in position, so I might do one squad Overwatch, one squad attack. Let's see now, what have we got? Well, there's a couple, okay, I know the Panzersshrek's gone now. So, American doctrine for fighting through Bocage is squads of machine gunners, as well as tanks, providing Overwatch, and to assault an opposing piece of Overwatch, you should spray the opposing Overwatch with weapon fire from the tanks and machine guns and other squads, and then the Shermans pop some smoke into the corners of the Bocage, and then you send an assault team across to take the other side of the Bocage, and then they throw grenades over the Bocage. Meanwhile, 60mm mortars also lay down some fire on the other side of the Bocage. So as you can see, a lot of firepower, a lot of overkill, but it's needed because this stuff is really defensible. You can see, I know there's Germans over there, but I can barely see them unless they're shooting back. But for that level of firepower, that's for when they're quite entrenched. You drop smoke into the corners because German doctrine is to have heavy machine guns in the corner that rake across. German doctrine also usually has some other machine guns on the flanks, say on this Bocage, to break across and try and suppress your guys in the middle of the field to make them sitting ducks. And the American tactics for that is simply to avoid the flanking edges of a Bocage field. So you can keep that all in mind. I find that the smoke is usually ineffective unless you know where the machine guns are, and if you do, probably popping HE into there is just as good, or you could do one followed by the other, but that requires some pretty tricky waypointing. But still, lessons learned from that is lay down heaps of fire, use mortars to land on the other side of the hedges if you feel necessary, use tanks with HE and machine guns to spray, even if you're not sure targets are there, give them area fire. And then leave a couple of squads on Overwatch to shoot any Germans that stick their head up while you assault across, and you might even want to then do what we did with the barn, and that's give them an attack order to throw grenades over the Bocage, and then they can take that particular section of Bocage, stick their heads through and shoot through any cowering Germans on the other side. Fairly risky manoeuvre all in all, but assaulting through Bocage is risky at the best of times. So, my tank will soon be in position. I'm going to use that as my assault team, so let's say area fire over there, please, to suppress those guys. You guys can sprint to there. Then you can area fire over there. Seconds. I'm going to move up to the edge and shoot anyone that's in that field. Flicking the camera around with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keys. That was actually like a 6 or a 7 to get the overhead view. and you'll notice I have to give them the cover arc command to tell them to stop area firing. So I might as well tell them the whole field. And everyone else is on Overwatch. These guys, in case they stick some heads up, tanks will be in position shortly. Right, let's go. I forgot to do target light, didn't I? And so the first thing I saw was someone shoot a rifle grenade across there. Fell short. Now we don't have that grenade. Oh, no, there goes another one. Hey, who did that? Oh, that must be the 66mm HE. Okay, that's fine. Right, boys are nearly into position. Whoa, that HE could get pretty dangerous. There's another surrendering German. Okay, so the light arms fire doesn't seem to be affecting our guys. Oh, but that HE will. Careful with those rifle grenades, boys. Another one incoming any second. Oh, it might be out. Okay, now these guys are opening up. Throw over a pineapple. There goes one. Boom. Yeah. Take that, open ground. You'll notice this German squad here. See that guy there? You probably can't see him because of the grass. How do I change details? Anyway, that's a machine gun. Most German squads carry a machine gunner. I mean, American squads carry a bar gunner, which is machine gunner as well, but the German ones tend to carry an MG 42 or 34 or something like that. It's pretty nasty. So the Germans have a lot of machine guns. All right, guys, cancel that. You've already used up all your HE because I forgot to tell you to target light. Okay, we need to move. Wow, we need to move these tanks up, and I've got no way of blowing my way through the Bocage. Pretty sure on the demo they gave me a Cullen's device. There's our white flag. Goodbye, but now mine. Okay, so these guys are going to be up in position soon. In fact, you guys can just clear target. Get rid of that waypoint. Just move up, please. In fact, it all looks pretty clear to me. And if it's not, our tanks can provide Overwatch. What are you even shooting at, guy? How I get my tanks into that next field, I do not know. I would have to blow a hole in that Bocage. I can't show you a blast. Would have liked to, but no one's got any satchels. I haven't seen these Germans seem pretty suppressed actually, but I might wait and finish my assault through the Bocage. Run across that open there could be a bit brutal. We've got another squad. You guys finished with that? Yes. Okay, let's move them up. Because they've lost contact with their platoon leader who I moved up. So we better get them up into contact again. And I haven't heard anything from that AT gun in a while. It's almost faded out, so I think he might be gone as well. Still got a fair bit of HE in the tank. Don't know what to do with this tank. This Overwatch position is probably the best. I was tempted to drive him out across the open because if there's no proper AT assets, I could just park him out in the middle of the field there and he could rain down death. What's the range? Movement. I want a waypoint up there so that I can measure range, please. Nope, doesn't measure range properly. But I'm guessing, see that was 200 meters, so that's beyond the effective range of a Panzer force. But I suppose hiding in these shrubs or that wall, if they had Panzershrek, a bazooka team, you know, they could possibly take my tank out. Might have to sneak my tank around the end of this hedge line, but might expose him to the AT gun if it's down the end there. You'd have to go out, around here, and duck through there, so it'd be basically ducking down the road. Whoa. His spotting rounds are terrible of the Germans. I don't even know what he's trying to shoot at, but that one might be honing in on the farm. It's got coming under fire. Found... whoa. Can't be happy about that. HMG's back online. Which is bad. No sign of the AT gun. Get tanks across. Might be time for some more smoke. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to empty my smoke canisters over there. Can you please go there? Around this corner. Now we are going to end up trading blows with that AT gun that's over there, so we'll see how that goes. Pretty risky. My plan is shoot smoke canisters. He's got his gun sticking through the Bocage there, so we can land it on this hedge line there. Wind will blow it across the road, hopefully just as this tank is driving out onto the road, so it gets a smoke screen as it gets into position, and then we can trade blows with that AT gun. It'll come down to who spots who first and who's more accurate. AT guns can usually get dispatched by tanks fairly easily once they get spotted. It's true, but they also usually hide until the best time to fire, and they're much cheaper than tanks. So usually if you go 1-for-1 with the AT gun for a tank, you should be pretty happy. They're designed to just hide and then take out a single tank. Meanwhile over here, I think we can move up to the next line. Target light, there might be some guys there. Guys, target light over there, and these guys I actually am going to assault because I don't think there's enough Overwatchers. Those are guys, and assault to there, and we'll get to see it in action as well. So I have one squad area firing where I saw some enemies recently, another squad area firing where I saw some enemies recently. Not really recent enough, is it? Let's try there instead. I have my commander just looking so that if someone sticks their head up in an odd position, he should be able to take a few pot shots. And this is the other reason why I'm assaulting, because I'll have a half squad assault across while their buddies look for anyone to stick their head up in case the area fires don't stop them. I should be patient and wait until my tank's in a position, then I could really confidently get across there, but I'm not patient. charging across. I'll stop out in the middle of the field, exactly as I don't want them to, and a leapfrog segment. And this is why I don't normally use it, because I'd just run all the way across to the other side of the Bocage, or it would have been well. And what we have over here is, did you guys shoot at all? Really? You did. You've still got 6 shells. So now my tank is sitting in the middle of the road with no cover whatsoever. So that's a pretty good indication that AT gun is taken out. Pretty bad way to discover that. So we'll go another minute, give my tank a chance to get in position. Give that assault squad a chance to finish assaulting. I had no call to make my commanders go open up or close up. It's easy to do. There's an open up command. I'll take that away and he'll button up. They'll often button up by themselves as well, and that's a way of stopping them from using the 50 cal when you're providing Overwatch, and also keeps them safer if you come under fire, small arms fire, or you're expecting to and don't want to lose your commander. And lastly, they'll button up by themselves if they come under fire, and you probably don't want to continually force them to open up if they are repeatedly getting raked with machine gun fire. There he is, buttoned up, nice and safe, but of course he's unable to see much of anything now. Easy way through that small hedge. Oh, what do we have here? Coax machine gun targets. Headquarters. Oh, little Germans scurrying about everywhere. Some on the edges of this Bocage here too now. Whoa, Panzer. Someone fired a Panzershrek at me. Where'd that come from? There it is, straight ahead. You see that? Panzershrek guy, right there. Went high, but we're going to have to punish him for missing now. He's busy reloading. And my tank hasn't actually seen him yet because I've got my commander buttoned up. Oh, damn. Well, that's the risk. That's all your fault for me showing you what it's like to button a commander up. Wow, I might not have spotted him anyway, but let's see what the damage is. Said penetration. Nobody's died yet. I just don't know whether that's filtered through yet or not, or whether we actually survived that impact. Fully pinned. I don't think we've seen the last of that. I think that's all going to be bad. It's obviously clear across there. I've just gone silly as I've shot into the Bocage. I'm still shooting at my own guys. How suppressed are they? They're completely pinned, probably from that Overwatch fire. Thanks very much. Okay, everyone bolt across there. We need some fire down there. I can't give this guy commands now. If he's alive, surely the first thing he'll do is pop smoke out, which is what I probably was thinking about doing with him anyway. Alright, Let's see how this turns out. We're close to being able to call up the other flank. So we're nearly in flanking position and then can charge across the open field while we attack from 2 angles. Might drive my reserve forces up the road here, since we're confident that AT gun is gone. What do you reckon, boys? Panicking, pinned, and now climbing out. There's that nasty Panzershrek. Got another shot. Skill level was a lot higher. I think he'd be in really bad shape right now. Ooh, well, it looks like everyone survived. We got the gunner, loader, commander, and that says soldier, but I assume that's supposed to be the driver. The Chevron is dismounted but not destroyed. Okay. Right. Let's get this guy. Right into the same spot. But I'm going to suppress that Shrek. Tiring and cautious. Tiring and cautious. Might go another round of shooting at those Germans there. Their returning fire hasn't really lessened off enough for my liking. How about you boys? Plenty of buddy aid finished there. So, and they've given up on hiding as well. But probably aren't shooting anything. Yeah. It's an indication of how we abuse some of the design ideas. You use cover fire to get them to hold fire, and then you clear target so then you can tell them to open up. And the squad leader says, hold your fire. But that's because cover arc wasn't really designed to be used as a hold fire, it's just what we found is the most effective. Okay, time to call up the reserves. Reserve deck. Let's go. Straight down here. Place and smack down there. I assume by the time we arrive that Panzershrek will be removed. I'm going a bit silly actually driving it down the road there. There's Bocage all the way down the left. I do have troops on the other side of there, so I'm pretty confident. I'm almost certain there's no one hiding in that hedges, but of course being so confident is what can immediately lead to problems. But also the road could be mined. It's quite common to mine roads or the side of roads. So hey, that is a Cullen's device. It just looks like it. Rifle grenades are pretty hard to aim. Spotting around a long way away. Hoping these guys will shake off the panic. High speed. Reserve tank. I haven't seen any German fire for a while, so I think we might be alright to mop up here. Yeah, those guys have actually surrendered over in the corner. So, who's Overwatch? You guys. You guys are Overwatch. No, you're not. Because you're ready and the other squad is tiring. Please move up to there. You guys may now cease fire. Wait your turn. So we've got a tank overwatching you, you can go across as well. Right. Panzershrek team might pull back a little bit. Another spotting round. Those spotting rounds are probably going like that because they might have called in artillery then lost their observer, and so he's not actually in a position to cancel the wall or yep, there's the abandoned AT gun. So we are alright there. You guys still panicking? Oh, come on, it was just a Panzershrek. Barely scratched the paint. Time to charge across the field. Now we've got a tank overwatching us. Let's get everyone over there. Lots of firepower. On opposite side of the Bocage so we can do the final dash. In fact, we could probably get to that Bocage and rout those guys, because otherwise we'll be a bit exposed on the flanks as we charge across the field. Yes, we'll have to do something about that. That guy's buttoned up by himself. I will tell you to open up though, because I want the 50 cal working. Alright, might be time to start leapfrogging. How are you guys? Rattled, of course. Rattled. Rattled. Oh well, somebody's gonna have to do it. First squad, you're up. Get over that stone wall. Pushing on. Okay, our AT gun is down, so let's go down by the river here. Let's see what we can see. So we sweep up this map. Heavy fire coming from the Germans on the opposite side there. Because it can be hard to spot everyone you need to spot, of course, this is how I generally judge how much of the enemy forces are over there, and that's by the amount of fire that they return with. So I know they're not suppressed, so a bit like paintball, if you've ever played that, where you need to get fire security priority first, so then they're not game to stick their head out, and then we can just continually lay down fire. because we have to be... He may try and trick us and stop firing and then open up on us when we execute our charge. But that's a fairly risky maneuver in itself, so
Look out.
Enemy
Enemy
approaching.
contact.
I don't think the AI will try that, that's for certain. So I will... looks like we have superiority there. Give him another 60 seconds and then leapfrog ahead, I would suggest. Tank charging across the open. First squad. I thought I ordered second squad to lead this charge. Oh well. They seem to have made it just fine. They don't really have much in the way of cover between there and anywhere else. They can be a fire base while I move my remaining squads up one at a time. Muster there, then go across and see if he can shoot any fleeing Germans. You guys got another 60 seconds to maintain your fire superiority, then you're going across as well. And I assume my crew is perfectly healthy now. Where are you? No. Wusses. There. I want to put you back in my tank. Go through that fence there, but there's not much to speak of. Park my tank up a bit slowly up here to get to really lay down the smack on those Germans. It's a bit risky again, except I'm pretty sure they're in more or less full retreat right now, so I should be able to move up there and just shoot with reckless abandon. Don't think they've got any AT assets left. Again, they did have the AT gun down and I lost the tank to a Panzershrek, so I shouldn't be counting my chickens. Every tank I lose is some more points I've lost. There's some very thick trees as the final obstacle. That's what it looks like from his point of view. Heard a Panzershrek. So I may have overextended here. Are we going to shoot at anything? Really haven't seen anything. You're parked in the middle of the road. Damn!
Stay down.
Oh dear. Oh dear. It's going to take another hit. Said that would happen, didn't I? Here it comes.
Take cover.
Penetration.
I can't do this.
And the radio operator is casualty. I think they're going to abandon that tank as well. Oh dear. Some fire laid down, guys, because we have to get across there and throw some pineapples before I lose that tank. As fast as you can. And fire across, please. That's the same Panzershrek team. They'd have to be very happy with that performance. abandoned, they're retreating and popping smoke. So you see the canisters just popping out there. There's another one firing out. Now these smoke canisters I've found produce an enormous wall of smoke once they're given a few seconds to generate. So the second tank is really laying down some suppressive fire there, which is great. So, oh, it hasn't stopped him though. Oh, there we go. Okay, he's running now. Looked like he was going to reload and have another go though. How's the assault going? Pineapples over heaps of them. That might have just been shrapnel. Okay, well we saved our tank. Instead of panicking and abandoning, they panicked, dropped smoke and retreated. Good. Radio operator is down and they're now permanently rattled, but better than bailing. Oh look, let's cruise back. Alright guys, hot-footed back into your tank, please. Notice the icon changes, see? Icon changes to a down arrow, so that's how you know he's getting in. Yeah, this tank's moving up. I'm a bit more confident about this. He's got a smoke screen and suppressive fire coming from the southeast, southwest, southeast, don't know. And also lots of fire coming from this direction. So these guys are right to hop over. This guy is actually being medicked, so I might stop, because if I give him a move order, he'll stop doing that. And the Germans are really just running now, so I might as well try and save his life for a few points before the round ends. Tell the commander to pop up again and shoot anything you can see. You guys moved on yet? Clear target. Get up on the Bocage, please. You'll notice I was careful there when moving because if I click now, it's gone through to the other side. You need to be able to see that waypoint for them to be on my side of the Bocage, and you can tell because of the slight discoloration, which tells you where the click is going to happen. When it's up on the slope, he's right at the Bocage, one step back and he's not close enough, and if that discoloration disappears altogether, you're looking at the other side, which would be bad, like that. I want you there looking through, please. Clear target, leapfrog ahead so we can see any Germans on the other side, and provide Overwatch. Wouldn't be surprised if the AI surrenders in a turn or two. Oh, that sounded like... Sure, what? Yeah, if they surrender, I'll automatically get any terrain objectives. If they surrender, then they give them up. And then it'll come down to if I've already got the terrain objective, did they kill enough of our guys and that sort of thing to make up their points. Depends on what their objectives were.
Come on, go, go, okay, go. Sergeant.
So they're really fleeing. Whoa, where did those grenades come from? I would like to find out. Bouncing around the other side of those bushes. You guys must have thrown Wow. Going crazy with the pineapples, so that's great. There's a few Germans over there and you got them. All suppressed, caught out in the open. Things are not going well for the Wehrmacht. So everyone's still got connection with second platoon? Yes. No. And the road here, they've lost it. So I'll move you up. Still communicate. Lost control of these guys because they're close enough to the tank to start clambering in now. So yay, got the tank back. Just keep firing. Lost the radio man as well. No longer have a radio icon and first platoon's down. Radio's got a damage, not X, but it's damaged. How's the gunfire going? I think we're winning. Run, hands. I would run that way though. So, clearly, we don't have enough firepower shooting into that open field because there's Germans just running around out there. Oh, alright, German army surrender. So how to read the after action report. You can see I completed my ground objectives and my target objectives, and in this one there was no parameters such as conserving your losses and things like that, and total points here. So 1,000 to 73, they would be total victory. Okay, so if you hover your mouse over the ground objectives, it just lists down the bottom. I got 500 points for the crossroads and 300 points for the farm. Great, and the targets, I destroyed enough German forces to get my full 200 points there, so I got maximum points of 1,000, and a little breakdown here, 18 men okay, I had 3 killed, I think at least 2 of those were probably tankers. I don't remember seeing anyone else actually killed, 18 men wounded, no missing, 1 tank lost. The other side we captured 9, 35 wounded, 45 killed, 14 men okay. So let's review the map so we can see where all the Germans were. So general idea where my stuff was. This is this heavy machine gun squad, not holding up too well. So the AT gun, it gives me a list of the combat victories on the left hand side, so I can see that it killed 6 of my troops and was the one that took out my tank, which we can see a black column of smoke burning off in the distance, so no surprise there, I knew that it happened. Panzershrek team, 1 enemy casualty. You didn't actually get me, did you? Might have shot 2 tanks, but didn't actually take them out. So I can see how good my stuff went. 1 enemy casualty, none. This is the guy got 2. So I don't know if there was really a standout squad anywhere. Oh, third squad's got 11 enemy casualties and captured 1. 5 there for second. So would seem first platoon I think might have done the best. Second platoon did 4. Oh no, first squad of second platoon got the most kills. It must have been my spearhead for most of the attack through the Bocage. And look at this, cheeky mortar platoon HQ hiding at the back there. Wonder where the German mortars are. They might have been the guys who were calling in the spotting rounds that never really landed properly anywhere. And this is a rifle squad that was left alive, B team, so they'd split it up. But you can see that this second guy, this guy here, MG42, they carry them around. They can deploy them, I believe, but they can also shoot them from the hip, though at far less accuracy. You'll see them spraying up into the air a lot of the time. But that's why you see so much machine gun fire coming from Germany. They a lot of their doctrine is focused, a lot of the infantry doctrine is focused around machine guns, so you've got to watch out for that. Okay, so thanks very much. I've sort of scattered hints and tips all the way through this. So it is, if you didn't watch all the videos, it's worthwhile going back and reading them, watching them all if you can be bothered putting up with it for that long, because I know it was very long. And I apologize for that, but I covered a lot of ground, I think, a lot of ground, a lot of questions that people ask. So hopefully it turns out okay. Hopefully it's helpful to a few people. And if there's anything specific you're interested in, maybe I could slap together a small map for that. But to be honest, I really covered off a huge chunk of combat. There maybe some tank on tank combat or something like that. Let me know. Okay, thanks.